Guys, we need to talk about this story for a moment. A man of God was arrested in Rivers State after his church was raided, destroyed, and broken into by community boys who claimed to have found fetish objects, including a live python, 2 small coffins, and photograph of multiple people they believe have been tied down by the said man of God.
See the eggs. If you have picture there, I may come home. You don't tie here.
I say I tell you this on 28 midnight. I go say why they break native egg for this? Say waiting for.
In cup don't full. This one a church where fake church where police raid today. Snake, python, and coffin. Human being coffins. Enough charm when it's inside church. This pastor there, they call himself a prophet, they deceive people here.
This was said to have happened on the 20th of January 2025 in Rumoduri community in Rivers State. Now, the man of God who goes by the name of Prophet Umar Basi, along with his colleague Elijah Enyete, were both picked up by the police when it looked as though the community boys wanted to pounce on them. Because at this time, the boys were furious. They were angry. Umar Basi was a known man of God, and it is being said that he has been in that community for nearly 17 years. And people knew him. People go to his church. And to learn that he is one of those fake prophets who uses charms and juju, along with other fetish objects, to perform his miracles was something that the people could not take. And I guess they wanted to make him a scapegoat. But here is the kicker. Here is what I am confused about. What is their crime exactly? What is their offense? Literally. Since when is it wrong to be a fake pastor? Because from the last time I checked, we have so many of them still running their day-to-day activities in their churches. Is it a fake pastor if there are people who believe in him? Regardless. But this is the gist. This is the story. According to what we heard, the said man was spotted in the middle of the night the day before, performing some unusual ritual. People say they saw him in the middle of the road pouring eggs and breaking eggs and doing some kind of incantation that did not sit well with them. It looked as though that this was something fetish. And to do it in the middle of the night, in the middle of the road, yes, now I can see why the community boys would take it personal. It's one thing to do it in your house. It's one thing to do it outside your house. It's another thing to come out and do it in the middle of the road, in the middle of the night still. Unfortunately for him, he probably thought everybody was sleeping because, Rivers State sometimes is not like Lagos. The city sleeps over there. I'm assuming that was why this man thought he could come in the middle of the night to do this and think nobody would see him. However, people saw him. And by the next morning, words got around that he was the one they saw performing something fetish in the middle of the road. Community boys got wind of this. The man's house was stormed into and he was confronted. At first, he denied being the one they saw the night before. He denied it. He said he's a pastor and he had nothing to do with fetish objects. He was like, please don't come into my house. I'm not one of those pastors. I'm a Christian. I believe in God and I don't do fetish things. So pretty much he was sort of gaslighting them. Then they asked for him to let them search his house, to search his compound, in which he refused because they did not have a warrant. And so the community boys forced their way into his house and they went into one of his chambers where they saw a lot of fetish objects. Truth be told, there were so many questionable objects that were found in his possession, in his compound, in his church. And from then on, the community boys raided the house, raided the church, broke into everything. They pretty much destroyed this man's properties, only to see multiple photographs of people that may have been members of his church or may not have been. These are the list of items that the police were able to recover from this man's house that were very questionable. Hence could be the reason why he would be arrested and held accountable for them. They found live cartridges, a sword, 2 wooden caskets, a fake naval passport, multiple photographs of men and women that may or may not have been members of his church. People believe these are people who were brought to him to either tie their destiny or to either do charms around them. One of those things that people believe that, oh wow, once you see a photograph hanging in the shrine, Probably somebody came there to report that said person. Some other items that were recovered included a bottle containing some liquids that they could not understand. Whether it's bodily fluid or some kind of chemical, nobody could tell. This doll baby that looks like a small miniature of a Teletubby that is burnt, apparently. They saw multiple Bibles. They saw a calabash. They saw children's shoes, which I wouldn't read much meaning into because I think he's like a 60-year-old man. So I'm sure he had kids or had grandchildren. So the children's shoes, I don't know. It could also be children that, I don't know, that went to his church. I'm not trying to defend it. But put in mind that this pastor or this prophet we're talking about is in his 60s. So children's shoes, because this is his home too. This is his house that they were raiding. So a lot of this like this Teletubby doll could also be for a child. The police also saw a coconut, a police uniform, and other spiritual items. Now, based on initial rumors, the police were able to clarify that they did not see the large python, and the casket that they recovered were a small miniature toy casket, not necessarily a big one that could contain a whole human being. It was just something small for his altar, I'm guessing. When the man of God, Mr. Bassi, was asked about these items, he did not back down. He admitted to owning these things, and he explained what he used them for. He told the police that he uses the spiritual materials to pray as directed by God. And the strange liquid that they could not understand, he claimed that that is a holy oil that he uses to heal the sick. And some of the pictures that people could not relate to him, he also claimed that those are photos of his sons, of his children, of his family. Remember, this is a 60-year-old man, so I'm sure he has children who are older and bigger. He's also married. So he is telling us that those photos belong to his family members. The two small caskets that were recovered, he claimed that that is what he uses to cure mad people. The man said that he has been running his church for the last 15 to 17 years, and he has used his powers to help the community, curing mad people, people with diseases, people with spiritual problems. He's not just your regular pastor, Sunday school kind of man of God. He is a prophet. And the last I checked, many prophets be having a lot of fetish things. And I'm sorry to say, the Catholic Church still does have a lot of objects in the altars that one could argue are just as complicated as this. That is just my opinion, because honestly, I'm yet to know what these men still did. I'm yet to what is the crime. And I like the fact that this man of God is explaining his items, because we as a country, we want to act like, oh, certain things are off limit. This is what religion is. This is a religious practice. I don't know any church that I've gone to that did not have too many unusual items. I've gone to churches where I've seen swords that I could not explain. You can go to men of God's house, you see a lot of items and a lot of objects that symbolizes a part of their belief. And I don't see any difference here with this man. That is just my opinion. But the story doesn't end here, because the man has a strong case for himself. He believes that he was set up. Prophet Bassi Omorin claims that some of the items that were found in his house were planted by the community boys. And to be honest with you, I don't believe him. However, that is a good argument, because now that these community boys raided his house without a warrant, it is easy for him to claim that many things found there do not belong to him. If for some reason a human head was found, he can easily deny it. This is why some people need to learn that if you want to hold down a prophet or suspicion, get your warrants, get the police. Community boys who did this, now, this man is going to come back home because he hasn't committed any crime. The only thing now is who's going to pay for all these damages. Who will? Because I feel like they went about it the wrong way. And even if they found a human head, body parts, organs, the man can easily deny that they were found in his house, because that is what he's doing now. He's now saying that the community boys planted some of these objects in his house. And honestly, that would work in his favor in court. He also alluded that this is a land issue, that people are targeting him because he was having issues with the owners of the land. According to his claims, the land in which his church is located, and I think his house, has had its lease expired per se. So he was already in court regarding the land, and the court granted him 3 more weeks to quit or something. That's what I read. So he was already getting ready to leave. So that he is claiming per se that the community boys are trying to quicken it, and that is why he was targeted and set up. If that's the case anyway, he doesn't really lose much since he was already leaving. Apparently, according to him, he was already going to leave here in 3 weeks. So I guess this is going to be someone else's problem now. The police arrested them both. I think the other friend is somebody who came to visit him, so that's collateral damage. My opinion or my thoughts, like I've already said, is I'm yet to see what the crime is. I think the police pretty much just held them to prevent the community boys from lynching them. And yes, they're doing their investigation. Maybe the police uniform and the passport, the fake, I don't know if that is the crime. Because if you want to talk about arresting people with fake passports, it's going to be a lot of arrests there. I am still yet to know what this man did. The fact is, if he has church members who believe in his spiritual practices, whether he uses charm, whether there is a coffin there, whether there is a sword, whether there is a zombie, the fact that there are people who believe in him and there are people who subscribe to he has church members. So why exactly was he targeted like this? I know this looked on the surface that, oh, we have to expose every devil, every demon. Okay, I get that. So what did he do exactly? What exactly was his offense? I just feel like this is an unfortunate situation. The man just got raided, got harassed, had his properties destroyed. His name is now embarrassed. His family are probably watching it on the news, but yet we still don't know what he did. I think the fact that they said that they saw a python was what, even if you guys saw a python, okay, maybe it's a python that was hiding there. There could be snakes in the compound. I think at some point, we all need to just calm down and ask ourselves, especially on this story, what exactly was his offense? What exactly was it that needed him to be arrested and locked up? Even the police, yes, the items recovered were questionable. And again, like I've said, he has answered the question. These items are things he uses for his... Isn't there religious freedom again? Is there only one kind of church that is allowed? The last I checked, native doctors are still allowed. Spiritualists are still allowed. Herbalists are still allowed. So the accusation here is just that people are just... The fact that they saw him doing something weird or something off. Even if the man came out in the middle of the night, in the middle of the road to bathe naked and do some kind of prayers, what exactly is wrong with that? Is that an offense that needs somebody's house to get burnt and destroyed? No, let's actually talk for a moment. It's one thing if they saw a human head in his possession. It's one thing if they saw him sleeping with a church member. It's one thing if there have been accusations that multiple people have died in his church and he cannot explain it. It looks like his church members are satisfied with the services. They are satisfied with the outcomes. He's healing mad people, and he has been doing this for 17 years. For 17 years. And yet, nobody has said that their child went missing. Nobody has said that they ran mad or they were used for rituals. Nobody has spiritually or mysteriously disappeared. For what I know, this man seems to have a clean record as compared to some churches that we know that are still running till this day that have some strong accusations with documentaries to back it up. But that church is still running. Nobody has gone there to raid it. Nobody has gone there to destroy it. Nobody has gone there to check for fetish items, despite the strong accusations. But we want to sit down here and castigate this man because you saw him. Which is funny. The man said he's not the one you saw. What are the chances that they actually did see? What are the chances that he was the one that they saw in the middle of the road breaking eggs in his body? I mean, I believe he's the one, sure. But if we were to go to court, what are the chances is the one? Can the person come out and say, yeah, he was the one I saw? Because it could have been anybody. It's the middle of the night in a dark spot, so it could have been anybody. They're just senseless reaction that the mob, partaking that. At some point, just because many people are doing it doesn't mean it makes sense. Just because a crowd, the same way we saw the Alu for a mob of people beating 4 Uniport boys. At the time, it made sense to them, right? you got thieves and you beat them up and you set them on fire. This makes sense until it doesn't make sense anymore. Because when you accuse them of the weapons that they had and they were with guns and this, you could not provide it. Now that you guys have accused this man of breaking eggs, bathing naked in the middle of the night, you saw a python, you still can't provide any of those accusations. Mob action and jungle justice sometimes is not the best, especially in situations like this. See the destruction, see the loss in property that this man had to suffer. What are the chances that, what if he's not the one that they actually saw beating? And even if he had all these fetish items, they were in his house, in his possession. Should we start going into people's houses to search? Because I'm sure half of the people that came to attack this man's house, if we go to their houses, boy, oh boy, oh boy, let's not open a portal here, because everybody would be guilty of something, in my opinion. At certain point and certain stories like this, we as a people just have to sit back and reflect and ask ourselves the question, what exactly did this man do that warrant this extra drama, this extra acting? This is a Teletubby job, the Teletubby. The man who even held this doll in the video has no idea what it is, but that is Teletubbies. I grew up watching Teletubbies. He's a 60-year-old man who probably have grandchildren who would play with that Teletubby doll. You can buy a Teletubby doll and yeah, they're thinking it was juju, it was fake. It's ignorance, in my opinion. I'm sorry, this is sheer ignorance. You guys have dug holes and dug grounds to look for human head and bones, but they still haven't found nothing. The 2 caskets, small coffin that they found, so what? The man have explained it, that he uses it to cure mad people. I don't understand. Is it illegal? Even the police uniform that they saw, what? I don't know. Maybe somebody was in it. He has a large family. Who knows? Somebody was in the police that he knows. He's a 60-year-old man, so he probably knows a lot of people. And the fake ID card, I don't know. If that is suspicious, the man can easily lie that it was planted. Since you guys did not come with a warrant, you guys planted it. It's a ridiculous story, a ridiculous one. It's one that at first sight, oh my God, a fake pastor was caught, what makes him fake exactly? Because it doesn't look like any of his members have complained. Whatever fetish things you guys saw in his house seem to be working. Because if we want to talk about fake pastor, we got a whole list of pastors that we could go through. But we don't want to open that can of worms. So let's go to the poor men of God, the poor pastors, the old ones, the ones whose churches are not big, the ones whose churches don't have a headquarters in Lagos. Because if we want to talk about pastors and fake pastors and fetish pastors, let's not go there. I just feel like this is a scapegoat situation. In as much as I believe that a lot of the fetish things were in his possession on his own, I still don't understand what that means. Is that a crime? I still don't understand. It's just ridiculous. This man has just been targeted and I feel bad for him. Clearly, his argument that this is a land issue, and since the case is already in court, I can see why this would be a good point. But at the same time, the mob action was uncalled for. I think these people overreacted. They were obviously afraid, but I don't know what their fear is. Still unjustified in my opinion. I'm just glad that he wasn't lynched, beaten and burnt alive. Because let's face it, that could have happened. But it didn't. So now the police will go through it and see what they can hold out from this. But I personally see this man going back to his life because, again, he hasn't done anything. But if you think he did something criminal, let me know. Let me know. It's one thing to not subscribe to his kind of religion. It's another thing to think that he deserves all of this because he believes and worships differently from you. We'll just watch and see. We'll just have to wait and see how this unfolds. He hasn't been arrested or convicted or charged with anything because, again, there is nothing. Nothing. Who's now going to pay for all of this? Who will? Don't forget to like, share, subscribe, and don't forget to also let me know your thoughts in the comment section below.